Hello again. I'm finally back with a book to share. It feels like forever since I did this, and considering how many times I've had to stop and start this video, it shows how long it is since I've done this. So yeah, I finally have finished a few books actually. I actually have 5 finished. There were various projects I'd started and tucked away in drawers and things and hadn't finished, so I got them all finished. There's various coloured ones coming, and yeah, so I'm looking forward to getting back into this, but it feels very weird because it's been so long. So I'm just going to get straight into the flip through because I've already done this a couple of times and I've forgotten what all sorts of things are called. My mind just keeps going blank. So anyway, I've made a little wrap for this book. This is obviously a green themed one. So I've got this little hand stitched cover that I've made for it. So it sort of sits in this bit that I've gathered in, and it's the same fabric that I've used throughout the book for the tabs. So it's very coordinated, but and it's the same trim that I've used throughout the book as well. I'm going to try and keep in frame this time. The last video I tried, it just kept going further and further up, so I'm going to try and keep it in frame this time. So yeah, so I've used these little Reader's Digest books. I saw Tracy Fox, I think, got a set of them weeks ago, and they looked so cute. And then out the blue, I found them a few weeks later. I couldn't believe it, and I was so delighted because they're just so like dinky. They're so small, and I have let the book get slightly bigger than the cover because of that, because it's such a tiny little book. But I think it works, having it all just sort of pouring out the sides. So this is the Bedside Book of Nature. I think there's another 4 I've got, that, and this bit's a different colour, so I'm going to make the others with the theme of the whatever the colour is. So obviously this is the nature one, so it's very green. The necklace I've used on the front is the same bits of necklace have been used for all of the little dangly bits off the sides. So again, consistency. I don't think any of the books I've finished recently have got a consistent theme of a kit through them. I've used kits for ephemera and decorating and things, but none of these books have a consistent themed kit. I've moved away from that a little bit, so they're a little bit more eclectic, the ones that I've made recently. So yes, we'll just get on with the flip through. I've used again the same fabric as the cover to cover the inside of the book, and there's various little folds that I've stitched in to make the fabric fit the size I needed. It frays lovely, this material, or badly if you were making something from it, but because of what I'm using it for, I love the fray. It's so soft, and because I've glued and stitched it along the edges, it's not going to fray anymore, but it's a lovely effect as far as I've let it fray. But so I've also used some vintage tablecloth as a sort of wrap for the signatures. There's 3 signatures, and the wrap goes round the signatures when I sewed them in here, so the sewing doesn't come through here. I've sewn them into the fabric. So on the front here, we've got a little pocket made with the same trim as this over here, and a little tea bag that I've used die cuts inside, so you see the die cut through the tea bag, which I think is quite cute. And that's just decorated and popped in there on blank. Yes, various vintage books and vintage paper and tea-dyed paper through it. So there's plenty of journaling space in it. I've used the same fabric that I used on the inside here, is the same fabric I've used for the tabs throughout. In the last video I tried to do, I couldn't remember what tabs were called. Sorry, that's my bored dog if you heard that. He's looking at me as if to say, how many times are you going to sit there and talk to yourself? So little tag here. Hopefully this is the last time I'm going to sit here. And oh, that's I've got a little envelope here with, again, these little, I've got matching tags throughout made like this. So it's a little bit of vintage tea cloth, some sari, and then this lace that you can see the sari through. And then I've got a dangle on each of them as well. So there's a few of these ones through it. And in here, I've got a kit. Again, I'm going to apologise now. I don't remember whose kits are who in this book, or probably the other ones. I've got a box of photocopied bits and pieces that I've taken from kits over time, and I've been trying to use them in these books, and I don't remember whose is whose. So I'm really sorry. But I will be more vigilant going forward on remembering whose stuff I'm using. But I've printed this on on photo paper, so it looks like a real photo. And I've printed a vintage check, which is green, onto some tracing paper. It's been so long ago I've made some of these bits and pieces that I don't remember whose stuff is whose. So I've got a wee die cut lace tuck here with some ephemera in it. I think that's Tim Holtz. I think that's Tim Holtz as well. It's not really vintage or anything. I think that's out the Tim Holtz ticket book. This is some vintage ledger. I've made this little bookmark again out of the same material that I've made from the tabs. And I've got some pockets here using that trim. I sewed the trim onto some paper and then I glued the paper in, so I didn't have to use glue on the trim. And we've got some old clothing tags made into tags. These were really nice hard ones, so they were perfect for making little tags. And we've got a little vintage tea card. There's a little bit of purple on some of the napkin that I've used throughout this. So there's a couple of little bits of ephemera with purple flowers on them. I've got a wee tuck here with some, this is the opening page of a vintage ledger. So it's lovely old thick paper, and it just sort of went with this. And on here I've got, this is a photocopy of a old receipt I have, and it was they used to write the receipt and then it would get folded up into the envelope and posted like that. So I thought this wee bit tucks in. Did I cut it? No. So that bit would tuck in there and it would get posted out like that, and I think they're so cute. I've got a couple of them in different colours now. And we've got another tag here and a wee tuck. A little receipt from 1945. So there's a few original bits of vintage ephemera in here. This is the original page of the book that I've used the cover of. I thought it was nice to pop a couple of the original pages in. Some of the illustrations were, oh, there's two, I forgot that. So this was the book. And some of the illustrations were quite cute. Some of them, most of them weren't, but I kept a couple of them to pop in because I thought it was nice. I'm going to do that with each of them. I'm going to keep the title pages and pop them in the book. And a couple of little bits of Tim Holtz in a little pocket there. That is a vintage book, Papers for Thoughtful Girls, that I've just backed with some of that vintage paper music roll paper. So I thought, again, the colours just fitted with this book. This is vintage paper from an old Boots the Chemist diary I found in a charity shop. Shh. We've got a wee flip on the next signature, and again these are original pages from the little book that I've popped in because they're perfect for writing on the back of. And we've got a little page here which is Scottish dancing instructions. So this is where you would stand with your partner, and this is the instructions of the dance. It's the cutest little book that I've been popping in some of, I think nearly all of these have maybe got a page of that in it. So another old clothing tag. I love keeping clothing tags, although since I discovered Vinted, I don't think I'm ever going to get a clothing tag again. But they make perfect little tags because there's all these different shapes. I wouldn't think of cutting just a bit of card into lots of different little shapes like this, but the clothing tags, having a wee box of them that I've collected over years, I love pulling them out and finding one that fits, because this little bag or little envelope was again on some clothing that had a couple of spare buttons in it, and this wee tag just fitted perfectly in it, so it just worked. There's a UK shop called Fat Face, and they're my favourite clothing tags to use because they're this lovely sort of vintage colour, and they're just perfect for making into little tags for these books. So again, I'm sorry, don't remember where that's from, but she's very pretty. I've got a wee flip here. And I've got a vintage envelope here, this with the original stamps on it. I've just popped a Tim Holtz butterfly over the top. And again, that's an original page from the book. That's the other illustration that I thought would work. And we've got another little tuck here. This I know is Ruby and Pearl, because this is one of my favourite kits, that she does all these little bits of paintings. So it's hands, and it's little hands holding baskets, and they're so pretty. So I printed that on some fabric. This is some vintage bank ledger. So this is the little bit of purple that was on that napkin, and I've added another tea card. Shh, I know you're bored. Shh. Another bit of that dance book. And another little tab. And a wee tuck there. Honestly, if you could see this dog, he's looking at me as if I'm so mean. But another little homemade tag. I made these little fabric tags ages ago, and they were all sitting in a box. I made them in various sizes, so I've added them to the few books that I've made recently to use them up. And a couple of die cuts. This is a vintage shorthand book, a wee tracing paper bag with a little piece of ephemera in it. Again, I'm sorry, I don't know whose kit that is. And a wee collage here. This I'm pretty sure is Graphics Fairy, but again the colours just worked really well. This is a great vintage book. I don't actually know what it is. I remember flicking through the little book in the charity shop thinking, oh, lovely pages, because they're so thin, and obviously vintage. And I still haven't read the front of the book and retained the information of what it actually is, but it's really pretty. Having all the numbers like that. Another little lacy tag. And we've got another tuck here. This was another thing I couldn't remember the name of before, but one of these mini file folders. It was getting silly, I couldn't remember anything. It's been just so long. You really get the habit of doing this. And it's quite funny. So some vintage music paper on, again, more clothing, old clothing tags. And I have used some of these Sam Poole stamps throughout this book as well. I found him recently in the charity shop. He's a miniature portrait of a gentleman. And he, again, the colours were just right, and he just fits this little book perfectly. So I just popped him in here. I'll try and remember to put another paper clip on to hold him in properly. Some more of the shorthand. And then we've got a wee flip here with another wee pocket with another little tag. That's one of the Fat Face tags. So all you have to do is put a little bit of paper to cover the label of the shop, but the colour of them and everything is just so cute. But like I say, since I discovered Vinted, I don't think I'll ever buy brand new clothes again. And that's probably not a bad thing. And at the back here, we've got a little handmade envelope with some vintage from 1930. I got this little diary, and most of the pages aren't written on, and they feel lovely. So I just popped one of them in there. And we'll pop that on the back. So there we go. First video back after a very long time. Thank you for persevering with me, and I'm sorry. It wasn't my best video, but I'm here. I'm not saying I'm back, because every time I've said that, something's happened that has stopped me getting in my craft room quite as much as I'd like to. But I must admit, I have enjoyed pottering away, making videos without thinking of this side of it, the sort of Instagram, YouTube selling side of it. I've quite enjoyed just pottering along, making some books. So what my plan is, hopefully now, is for the next few weeks I have a book to share, and they'll go in my Etsy shop if anybody is interested at the same time I upload the video. And while I've got a few weeks of a book ready to go, I'm hopefully going to be making other books. So I hopefully will be a little bit more consistent now. But no promises, because life happens. But like I say, things are a little bit organised at the moment. So you'll hopefully see me again soon. But again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.